This online course on the neurobiology of trauma and breathwork, and importantly, trauma emancipation, will give you all you need to understand both trauma and find freedom from it. What will you get? Well, you'll learn how to liberate yourself from trauma and build a life of resilience, where you can remain centered, grounded, present, in good choice and equanimous in the midst of chaos and confusion in a volatile, uncertain, changing and ambivalent, or as we call it, VUCA world. You will be able to take this knowledge, the practices and the principles, and use them to help other people liberate themselves from trauma and live life to their potential. This is a good thing. Now, the key principles we're working with that you will learn are first of all, knowledge. What you need to know about how you work, about how your body-mind has responded to what has happened, and also what you can do about it, what you can do about it now. You'll learn tools, the strategies, practices and methods that can enable a neuroplastic shift so that you can change perspective, reappraise and liberate yourself. You'll learn about integration, about weaving these new ways of being and these tools, these methods into your life and into the world. And you'll understand trauma liberation, no longer being triggered or driven into reactive behaviours, but instead remaining in choice. And you'll learn about optimization, learning the very best life you can. Now, to this end, you're going to get clear knowledge of what trauma is, from macro traumas and micro traumas, and stresses from severe to minor, all along the same spectrum of physiology and related psychology. You're going to get to understand these as related, and yes, making distinctions is valuable, simply to enable us to work well with trauma. This course is experiential and theoretical. You'll get all the theory you need to understand how to work with trauma and practices to take away to implement in your life and in your teaching. This course will give you all of the following, and I promise you it's in more than enough depth for you to liberate yourself and help others to do the same. You're going to be looking at breath and trauma. You're going to be looking at breath as innate and breath as learned, and breath as a social affair. You're going to be looking at stress and breath. You'll be looking at trauma and breath, nasal breathing, mouth breathing, breathlessness and why it matters. You're going to be looking at how human beings grow well, and you're going to find out and be able to how to take these principles into your work. As Robert Sapolsky states, and I quote him, "Childhood adversity increases the odds of an adult having depression, anxiety or substance abuse. Impaired cognitive capabilities connected to impaired frontocortical function." We'll talk about this later, but it's about choice making in the brain. And also impaired impulse control. You can't manage your impulses, and emotional regulation. It increases the chances of antisocial behaviour, including violence and relationships that recreate the adversities of that person's childhood, such as staying with an abusive partner. Robert Sapolsky says all of this. And if we truly understand the behavioural dynamics and the suboptimal brain function and human experience that these conditions create, and the social consequence of this, we might then choose to collectively break the cycle of adversity, as Robert says. Now, you will understand the distressing experiences linked to trauma, such as re-experiencing, avoiding, negative changes in cognitions, how you think, negative changes in feelings, and alterations in arousal. You're going to get to understand all of this. Now, bear in mind that it is not inevitable that going through trauma will result in these problems. There's a myriad of ways we respond, depending on so many different variables. We are meaning-making creatures, making things mean something all the time. And the meanings we make perfect sense out of what has happened to the person making the meanings. Of course, until those meanings no longer mean the same, and then we have to change them. How do we make meanings out of what has happened to us? What new meanings can we make out of what has happened? These are crucial questions if you think about it, because they enable us to access transformation with trauma. You're going to get to understand the core principles of selfing and othering. These are the verbs or processes that we really are, rather than the static, solid, defined chunks of self and other and ego and those kind of words. Now, this principle from biology and the depth meditative traditions is itself insightful and liberating. We are storytelling creatures, weaving events into stories all the time. The stories we tell ourselves and others make perfect sense out of what has happened to the person weaving the story. And the stories revolve around the brain functions of selfing and othering. All of this you're going to get to understand. So you will get to learn the value and importance of the stories we tell and how to use our narrative brain well for benefit of ourselves and others. How can we resolve and liberate trauma, move from surviving to thriving? And this is the key gift of the course, in that it explains how we work and how to enable the shift into optimal being, optimal potential. You're also going to learn all about creating a safe space and a brave space, what this means and why it's so important. Now, breathwork facilitators and practitioners involved in breath circles and ceremonies have to pay attention to the psychodynamics of projection, transference, and countertransference. Without that knowledge, there is no authentic change that can possibly happen. We remain in patterns of disempowerment. Now, you're also going to learn all about the brain, how it's impacted by trauma, and how this knowledge can enable us to find and grow resilience. Growing resilience is wonderful. You're going to get to learn about brain waves and neuroplasticity and how this connects to what we call the intense learning state, the capacity to change, to learn, and to thrive. You'll also learn to understand these principles and use discipline, attention, and choice as tools for change through, again, what we call self-applied neuroplasticity. Coming to standing on 2 feet as we human beings did through our evolutionary history had many profound systems-wide consequences. Some of these are more useful to see through the lens of anatomy, some physiology, some evolutionary psychology, and some sociology. All these lenses are connected, different ways of seeing the same experience. So you're going to also get to learn about being human, about our vulnerability and why we are social mammals, as well as why breath is part of the puzzle in human connection. You'll also get to learn all about functional human breathing and how and why modern life has changed this and what you can do about it, and you can. You'll also learn and be able to apply the 9 steps to trauma emancipation. This protocol, the 9 steps, is scientifically validated. The practices you will learn include our unique trauma release breath movement and core breath practices to free held patterns of trauma. You will learn about your nervous system. You'll learn about relaxation and how to do it well. And you'll learn about the autonomic nervous system, the ANS. And you're also going to learn about Stephen Porges' polyvagal theory and how this relates to breathwork and trauma. You're also going to get to learn about the sympathetic nervous system. That's the stress-based nervous system, the action-based nervous system, and the 4 kinds of stress: environmental, developmental, social, and perceptual, and why they're really worth understanding for both yourself and your clients or students, if you work with others, that is. Now you're going to learn and practice how to move from disempowerment to empowerment in a unique approach that makes this a kinesthetic, felt, experiential practice. This approach is profound. You're also going to get to learn all about developmental fulcrums. That's a very powerful key map of learning and growing, and again, how to apply this in your life and in the life of others. Along with this, you're going to learn about ego defense mechanisms, the 8 steps of shadow work, and what exactly ego strength is. What is it? Well, let's find out. But the point is that all of this will give you exactly what you need to craft the freedom of adaptation you want in your life and in the lives of others. What do I mean by freedom of adaptation? Well, conscious breathwork, in as much as it enables a greater experience of transparency and informed choice, has a key role to play in the work of resolving less healthy defense strategies and working towards healthier defense strategies. That's the way we look after our selfing systems. Now, as we adapt to life's exigencies, demands, challenges, and insistence, ego defenses that channel rather than block inner life and inner feeling lead to better adaptation to what's really happening in life. It's how we manage life. Ego defenses that remove, deny, or damn inner life and inner feeling lead to less successful adaptation to life's events. So what I mean by adaptation is the capacity to engage in the world without withdrawing, without engaging in hostility, and without acting in indifference. Wonderful. It really is wonderful. Successful adaptation also means one can face reality as it is, remain centered, equanimous, and make creative choices as how to proceed. This, by the way, is a quote from one of my books. Now, there's also a section on emotional lucidity and emotional intelligence in this course, what all of this means and how to develop it. There are also core teachings on primary and secondary emotions and the difference between those and how to work with difficult emotions. Most people struggle to relax, and you're also going to get to learn how to enable people to reclaim this natural but not given human possibility. People don't know how to do it these days. And relaxation is a crucial aspect of practice. And people struggling with trauma cannot easily access it. So we've got tools to enable that. It's a learned skill. You're also going to learn how to grow in resilience, and resilience is the capacity to flow, the capacity to bend in the winds of change, and at the same time remain centered, equanimous, clear, and compassionate. Resilience, like anti-fragility, means we don't just survive in the face of change, we thrive. We thrive in the face of adversity, difficulty, and complexity. Now, to enable all of this learning to land and be implemented, you will learn and practice habit creation, developing discipline, finding authenticity and agency. Now, by discipline, I have to be clear here, by discipline I mean following what is good and true and beautiful, what makes sense, a way of meeting your biological algorithms on a daily basis within the context of your life to find awareness, craft agency and freedom. Discipline is not punishment or mental dominance over the body. It's listening and working well with the unity of body-mind. It's crucial to understand this. You're also going to get to learn what compassion really is and how to practice it. Compassion is an essential practice, and a powerful aspect of trauma liberation. Now, the breath of compassion looks at what compassion is and how to build and grow it in your life, creating a clear and useful distinction between sympathy, empathy, and compassion, and why this distinction matters. Now, the latest scientific empirical research validates these distinctions as well. Current research suggests how compassion helps us. If you think of it, it's kind of like the selfishness of compassion, as it were, even though that's not technically possible. It's more the unexpected personal side effects to compassionate action. Now, to fully land this innate human capacity in your life and your work, you will also learn compassionate listening and compassionate action. You also get to learn how to hold space and what facilitating transformational space is, as well as looking at ethics, consent, confidentiality, and group dynamics. You're going to get a library of practices for you to implement in your life and to share with students or clients to enable a clearer, cleaner journey from a trauma-led life of surviving to one of thriving and reaching into your optimal potential and thriving. And you're going to be able to help your students or clients reach their potential too. These practices include breath-based protocols, mind-based protocols, and body-based protocols. Now, at the end of this course, you may feel so compelled and empowered that you want to dive deep into our incredible, and I mean incredible, and comprehensive instructor training. You may well want to do that. But before you decide that though, what will you be able to do at the end of this course? We've been pretty clear already what you're going to get. So let's remember firstly, that resolving deep-seated trauma is sometimes a life's work. Trauma changes us. We can also work well with it to liberate ourselves into greater joy, presence and creativity, as well as learn to live in healthy relationships. The point is that all of this is possible, and this course will show you how to do this yourself and also how to help others. And of course, we're here to help you support in that. And this course will give you the knowledge and the tools and find the compassion and clarity you need to enable and direct this process for yourself and then others. I've had to do it for myself. It's part of life. And this course will enable you to explore and optimize the tools of breathwork, body-based skills, and mind skills, and integrate them into your life so successfully that you live well and live optimally. This course will also give you the knowledge and tools you need to be able to teach well and enable people to find emancipation from trauma from the inside out. This course will help you to thrive in our complex and VUCA world. You get all of this when you sign up and dive deep. Enjoy it. It's a wonderful journey. It's a journey of empowerment. Give yourself this. Give your clients this.